Hello planty friends, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Adriana and please grab a drink with me because we are celebrating Earth Day. Woo! It's Earth Day. Actually, happy belated Earth Day because in true me fashion, I didn't get this video out on actual Earth Day. It's like a day or two after, but it's fine. We did it. It's good. I have with me a black IPA. Noon Whistle recently, actually today, released this beer. Not many breweries release black IPs, at least around us, so had to get my hands on this because I love a good black IPA, and this one's a good black IPA. Alright, so I did a video similar to this last year. In last year's video, I more focused on like ways to help the planet as a plant owner, but this year I want to focus on just ways to help the planet as a person. I've been really trying to be more conscientious. Oh, that's a hard word to say. Conscientious. Yes, conscientious. Can't say it fast. Gotta say it slow. I've been trying to be more conscientious. No, can't. Okay. I think you all know what word I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be more aware of my carbon footprint, trying to be more sustainable, and trying, to not really feed into climate change as much because, climate change is very real. It's happening and it's not good. So I've been trying to do whatever I can and what I can to try to make our Earth better for us to live in because it's the only one we got so far, unless, you're really rich and, like that movie Up in the Air or Look Up in the Air, whatever that movie was, with the comet coming to kill everybody. Unless you're really rich, you're not getting off of this Earth in a spaceship to go live in Mars unless you're a billionaire, Us peons stay here and die. Dark. Okay. Let's move on from that. I just want to share what I have been doing just to try and help out this planet. I've been really enjoying one YouTuber in particular. I cannot say her YouTube name, but her name is Shelby. I'll link her channel below. She is awesome. I love her channel. I have been like binging her videos. So let's get into it. What I do to help planet Earth. First, recycling. Mostly everywhere that you live usually offers recycling. I know some apartments, if you live in an apartment, sometimes they don't, or like live in a condo community, sometimes they don't, but a lot of the places where you live do offer recycling. However, I would just really recommend that you look into the guidelines of your waste management services to know exactly what you can recycle and what you cannot, because I used to do this too. It's called wishful recycling, and it's thinking that something is recyclable and recycling it even though it is not, because if you don't know, like recycling companies, I'm going to just use the term lot, if a lot is full of contaminants, they just throw it away and it ends up in a landfill anyway because a certain percentage of the items that are in that recycling lot are actually not recyclable, so they just throw it all away, which is very sad. So yeah, I would just highly recommend to look up your waste management guidelines and see what they actually accept as recyclable items. Also, some things they don't accept. So I would highly encourage you to find stores like Target. Target has bins when you first walk in or when you're exiting, and they take like shopping bags and other stuff. In a lot of communities, they have electronic recycling events, just stuff like that to sustainably and responsibly recycle your items that you no longer wish to use. Number 2, and I mentioned this one last year, it is to compost. I love composting, and I know it's not easy for everybody to compost. Maybe if you live in an apartment, it's not very easy, situations like that. However, I would highly encourage everybody to try composting. For example, me, I do have a composting bin, but you don't need a fancy like composting bucket to go on your countertop. I literally have a bowl that I have designated for composting. I put our kitchen scraps in there. My husband does too because he does most of the cooking. We put our kitchen scraps in there, and then I put that bowl right in the freezer because it cuts down on odor and the bugs, because you will get odor and bugs if you leave it out on your countertop. And then when that bowl is full, I put it into our composter. However, if you can't have a composter, if you don't want a composter, you can still compost. You can donate your compost to maybe a gardening center. You can see if a community garden accepts compost. You can even like reach out to your neighbors on like Nextdoor app. Yeah, that's what it's called, the Nextdoor app, and see if any of your neighbors compost and maybe give them your compost, because composting is awesome and it keeps food and waste out of our landfills that just stay in our landfills, where when you compost, you are breaking down that food waste and making it into a nutrient that we can put back into our soil, which makes our soil so much better. And not only that, some composters do and are able to collect what is called compost tea or juice. That is also a great fertilizer. It's kind of gross, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a great fertilizer. And even some cities or towns, areas, whatever you call it, whatever that is, some areas offer composting services where a service will give you like a bucket or whatever to put your compost in, and then once a week or however much they frequent will pick up your compost and use it themselves. So you can still compost but not actually have the compost with you if you can't have it in your house, like I said. Speaking of compost, another great thing to do for Mother Earth here is to garden, grow your own food. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. It's tough. I really failed last season, but I'm hoping this season will be more of a success. It's really a trial and error thing that I found, like in my experience, it's trial and error. But it's so enjoyable to do. If you happen to compost, you can use that compost that you made in your garden to grow your food, and it's just so rewarding to grow your own food. And it is a little bit more sustainable than shopping at the grocery store to buy like cucumbers or tomatoes or whatever you happen to grow. So, benefit. This next one might sound a little weird to people, but just trust me. Get a bidet. If you don't know what a bidet is, it's an attachment that goes on your toilet and, you know, just shoots water up in your business after you go to the bathroom. Honestly, didn't think I'd like it as much as I do, but one, you feel so much cleaner after you use the restroom, and two, you hypothetically, like, usually use way less toilet paper when you use a bidet, because, you know, it cleans you, so you don't need to use the toilet paper to clean you that much. And I love my bidet. Honestly, we're gonna get a second one for our downstairs bathroom because we have two bathrooms, and right now we only have it in our upstairs. So we love it so much, it gets to the point where none of us want to go to the bathroom in our downstairs bathroom because that doesn't have a bidet. But that will soon be rectified by getting a second bidet. But yeah, highly recommend to get a bidet. How many times can I say bidet? That was the last time. Are you sitting on my notes? I have notes with me and my cat. It's right here. Sitting on them. Can I have this back? I need it. Next on my list is to support sustainable companies. This takes a little bit of effort to know where whatever you're buying, clothes, electronics, anything is coming from. It takes a little bit of effort, you know, to research and look into, but there are sustainable companies out there that are trying to give back to the planet, to give to charities, you know, to try and do good in this world. One that Shelby, the YouTuber that I mentioned in the beginning, really supports, and which now I support, is a company called Pela. I believe that's how you pronounce it. They mostly do phone cases, and their phone cases are made entirely by plants, and their phone cases are sustainably sourced, and they are fully compostable when you're through with them. Let me show you. So I use my phone to film, but this is the case. And they even have like a little phone grip here. And it's so cute. They are a little pricey, I'm not gonna lie, You know, it's not a $12 case that we can get off of Amazon, but look for those sales. I got this one on sale. Same with the phone grip. I got it on sale. And I'm really happy with it. I think it's just adorable. It's this beautiful, like, lavender color, and I love purple. They also have a lot of designs too, so you don't have to just get a plain color if you want. And yeah, they're just a company that's trying to do right by our planet, and I fully support that. There are companies that are sustainable that you can get toilet paper from, you can get toothpaste from, you can get reusable, not floss, but like a lot of, my husband has one. What is it? It's not floss because you don't reuse floss. That's kind of gross. But it's like the flossing pick, because usually those are just one and done. But he has one that he can reuse, and then he just replaces the floss in it every day. Like that. I have a what is this called that you clean your ears with, that you're not supposed to clean your ears with, that people do anyway? One of those. A reusable one of those that I wash. I have a reusable, when I wore makeup, I really don't anymore, but like makeup remover, instead of using like the cotton pad swab thingies. You know, there's just so many companies that you can support that are trying to make our earth a better place, and I highly recommend. Next thing I mentioned in my previous year's video, but reuse. Just reuse as much as you can. I reuse takeout containers for watering when I'm lazy watering. I will put a takeout container under my plants that have that are in a pot with a drainage hole, water them so that the water can drain without spilling everywhere. And you know, if it's a lot of water, I will replace it with the dry one to dry. But that's what I use my takeout containers for. You can use takeout containers as like prop boxes, because you can close them and create humidity in a little mini greenhouse if you want to prop plants. I love to reuse teacups as planters. I think this looks freaking adorable. I love how this looks. I have many teacups as planters around the house. Jars. I have jalapeno jars, drink jars, a coffee, like a Starbucks coffee jar that I use as prop jars, because you know, it's really nice to have like really cute prop jars, I'm not gonna lie, but just reuse a jar. It works just fine. What I especially like is a lot of jars aren't clear. They're more opaque, and if you prop, you know, clear jars, they just really grow that algae real fast, which is like, it's not the most terrible thing for your plants, but it's still not the greatest thing for your plants. But those opaque jars, no algae in those suckers. Great for propping. And there's one more thing I want to mention, and it's not for everybody, and this is something that I personally have not done yet, but is on my goals for this year to do, and that is write. Write to your companies, write to the politicians, to your legislators, write to the people and companies that you want to see a change in. For example, the first company that I want to write to is HelloFresh. My husband and I really love HelloFresh. It's so convenient because I hate grocery shopping, I really do, and the meals just come to us and we cook them and it's awesome. However, they kind of use a lot of plastic, which I'm not a fan of, and it's unnecessary. They don't need to use plastic, they could use something else. So my goal for this year is to once a month set aside an hour to send them in a letter to just say like, hey, I think you could really use less plastic, and I would love to see that change as a customer. Like, that's what I want to see. So Shelby, the YouTuber that I mentioned again in the beginning of this video and a little bit after that, she was writing to Native. If you don't know, Native is an all-natural deodorant company, and they used to only package their deodorant in plastic. Well, she would write to them pretty much every month for a couple of years, and she does not claim to be responsible for this change, but Native now offers their deodorant in a cardboard tube instead of plastic, and that is just awesome that they listened to their customers and what they wanted. Write to your politicians. If there's a bill coming up about composting or about recycling that you really agree with, email them, phone them, snail mail them, a letter saying like, hey, I really support this bill, or hey, I really don't like this bill. Please don't support it because this is harmful to our planet. Little things like that can really just make a big difference. And I know, again, it's not for everybody to do because it does take time. And honestly, like, I never even thought of doing it until Shelby mentioned it. But I really want to make it a point to do this year. It's going to be a goal of mine. Okay, those are all the talking points I had for today's video. Jupiter's playing in his paper. But yeah, I hope I didn't come off like off-putting or anything. I just, especially this year, like I said, just have been really aware of how our Earth is affected by us humans. And I really want to try to do what I can to help our Earth out so it's livable for our future generations, for my nieces and nephews, for all the future generations, just not my niece and nephews. But that's who I think of when I'm doing this. I want this Earth to be livable for them and not harmful, because right now, like, we as humans are we're pretty destructive, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, I just want to help out the Earth, really. But yeah, I hope it doesn't come off as judgy or anything. And anything, no matter how big or how small, that you can do really does make a change and helps this Earth out, and it really needs help. So okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me today. Cheers. I almost spilled.